tell you what happened. Okay, Facebook keeps putting me in Facebook jail. All right, and why do they do this? Because I self-refer as a nigger. I'm like, well, hey, they got treated like a nigger. So and so, so and so, right? Look at this example. Look at this. You know. But meanwhile, I found examples where white folks call themselves cracker trash. All right, they're not taken down for hate speech. So if you look at the Facebook rules for hate speech, they clearly say if you're self-referential about it, you can call yourself a dyke, a queer, whatever, as long as you're part of the protected class. All right, and so that's what I did, and they kept banning me. So they have a history of doing this, right? The USA Today did a story about Facebook and doing this, and so you got the fact that you've got major press and the so-called alternative press. They don't want to touch my lawsuit. All right, they haven't touched it, but I know for a fact, I know one of the people that was profiled in the USA Today story. She wrote the writer said, you need to call Chris King about his lawsuit. Did that ever happen? Crickets, okay? So I'm up against this wall of establishment. It's all a big ass cabal, all right? And
I guess
you can just have a seat.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Good. Yeah.
That's Kyler's gonna be like this the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Getting those really, things, yeah.
Hey everybody, some of you know Chris King, some of you meeting him for the first time. Longtime friend to the department. Chris is a number of things: filmmaker, producer, attorney, activist, tells stories with camera traditionally and very non-traditionally as well too. Has his own blog. Basically a truth sayer in a lot of ways, but ways to. He's got a number of things he'd like to talk about today, but for me, why I love Chris and why he's got an open door policy to our department is because he tells story with camera very untraditionally. And for those of you that are interested maybe in news journalism or going in that direction, Chris does it on his own in a way that is extremely powerful and uses social media as well in the right ways.
Yeah, right.
Right? And then he'll talk to you about that as well too, but we're lucky to have him here for the afternoon.
Is the court issued a ruling today, and the court said, look, you have a right to come back and amend your complaint. The court sided with them on the issue of immunity in general, but the court said no, Mr. King has a right to come back and argue these other issues in terms of retaliatory breach. And that's huge, okay, because I'll tell you what, nobody's gotten that before. I've looked at all the cases against Facebook. I don't think anybody's ever advanced that exact theory as eloquently as I did. And, I'm fucking good, so the whole world can pretty much kiss my ass right now because I've been good all of my fucking life in a courtroom. Thank you. All of my life. Well, ever since I passed the bar, that is. So
I'm not here to fuck around this week. Now you may be, but I'm not.
Hey sports fans, I gotta tell you something. Okay, I just scored a major victory against Facebook, and it happened pretty much the way that I said it would, okay? So, some of you legal pundits out there who try to ignore me and all that stuff, okay? No, I was right, okay? I told you what happened. All right, Pepper, I gotta go. I'll be right back, I promise, honey. Let's keep this focused on the federal lawsuit. All right. Well, I told you that Judge Orrick, I thought, might carve out an exception for me of some kind. And that's what he did, okay? Because all these pundits out there, the Goldmans of the world, there's a guy named Eric Goldman. He's a big-time law professor, I think, Santa Clara. And he's, very much in favor of DCA or CDA 230 for absolute immunity. And that is being whittled away at right now by the District of Columbia and the Court of Appeals there, where they're saying, no, it's not so simple. You got First Amendment issues.
The clerk, calling Civil Matter 19 to 1987, Christopher King versus Facebook, Incorporated. Counsel, please come forward and state your appearances. M.R. King, good morning, Your Honor. Christopher King. The court, Mr. King. M.R. King, self-represented.
Last night I was so depressed, and I went and got the Bible, and I turned to the book of Revelation. And if people would just get and read the Bible and read the book of Revelations, they would really turn around and straighten out. This is all we need to do, is just get the good book
gangsters, niggas, whiteys, Jews, crackers. Don't worry. If there's hell below, we're all gonna go.
The nugget is this. I told him at the end of the hearing that I said the things that Facebook was doing to me are not covered by absolute immunity because, you know, it's retaliatory breach of contract. And we're getting into like how they would let my requests sit for 2 weeks when I wanted to file an appeal for being banned. We talked about that. We talked about how they took Chris King's First Amendment page and then made it off limits. They made it in violation of community standards, but they only did that after I started How to Sue Facebook blog, okay? So there's a problem here because, you know, Chris King's First Amendment page, that blog has been up since 2005. I joined Facebook in 2010 or so, or 9. I've been posting, linking to that since then. It was never against community standards, okay? So now, when I bring up the How to Sue Facebook blog, then all of a sudden it's against community standards. So I bitched at them at the time, and they let me publish Chris King's page, all right? But then they would not let me publish How to Sue Facebook blog, but then they changed that too, okay? Since oral argument. I have mentioned to Facebook that I have other things I need to be doing in my life. I might look forward to settling, might be in the best interest of all parties, okay? I don't know. We'll see what they want to do about it, you know? I'll pose now appropriately in front of the King County Courthouse. So yeah, you know, some of the things for them to consider are the fact that people are going to start seeing this case, you know, even though I'm not a media darling, people are going to start seeing it, taking note. And the further this case goes, they run the risk of losing it. If they don't lose, then other people might advance this theory of law that I started, okay? So that's not good for them. And also, since they cannot any longer avail themselves of the absolute immunity presumption, this means that the ongoing lawsuit, should it continue, they're not going to be able to dodge discovery requests from me now, okay? So I can, you know, take depositions, I can issue, you know, interrogatories, requests for admission, all of this stuff that they were able to hide behind before. They've lost the cloak of that protection now, okay? Than I am, you know, and so, but what ends up happening is, because of the journalism, I end up, and then the law and the civil rights, I was filming my own civil rights trials in the 90s, and nobody was doing that at the time. And we had some run-ins with the courts. Some courts didn't want it to happen, or some courts said you can't do it right now. And if you do it, you have to hold your video until the conclusion of the trial and all this stuff that, you know, and I was right. I told them 20 years ago, I was like, that's not the law. And so, and today, most states hold that that is not the law. And we're gonna talk about the app later, because I'm working on that right now with my developer. It's gonna be an app that's a single shot download of all the laws in all 50 states on how to run video, but it's also got legal templates that I'm allowed to provide to people, to videographers, to journalists, to who want to get into court, shoot video. You know, a lot of times people are being wrongfully denied, and I'm sick of it. So I've shot video in probably 6 states now out of, you know, I've only been rejected in 2 states, but in both of those states, technically I should have been able to shoot video, okay? So now it's gonna have 2 components mostly, like all the downloads, and then also we'll have the videos of me doing it. So they say, you know, a good judge says that's not true. They're like, well, there he is, you know. And so I'll links to all that on my YouTube links that I've had over the years too. My alter ego is King Cast.
Right about now, I'd like to offer a special word of thanks for all the folks who helped me so much along the way. I feel the love coming from you. You feel it coming back from me too? It's beautiful.
He said, don't worry, can be no show. And if there's hell below, we're all gonna go. Everybody praying and everybody saying, but when come time to do, everybody's laying, just talking about no.